Good morning. It's Tuesday, December 29th. Getting closer and closer to wrapping up this 2020. And we got a full moon this evening in Cancer. And full moon invites us to take an inventory of what's happened in our lives in the last 3, 6, 12 months. Acknowledge what we've learned and how we've grown. Bring that all to the forefront of our awareness. Offer gratitude. Before we make this big pivot into 2021. I'm going to be doing a lot more writing the next few days as I do that, so I may or may not be on here video journaling. I can think very much more clearly when I write versus when I speak, although I am getting a little bit better at talking through my thoughts. I want to dive deep and be intentional. One thing that is on my mind right now as I'm looking at old patterns to shine light on them and give possibility for something new. One pattern I'm seeing that I've seen before but is popping up again, that's why it's pattern, is this notion of avoiding presence, avoiding being in the moment as a way of avoiding responsibility for it. Does that make sense? Let me take it out of the abstract. It might not be much less abstract, but the phrase that comes to mind is this right now, this life situation, wherever I am, this conversation with this person, this career, this apartment, this relationship, this right now, this isn't it. This isn't it. My happiness, my salvation, my power, my potential lies somewhere else besides this moment. Let me share with you a few examples of where I've felt this. I think the most potent for me is within the workspace. Within one job, one position that I have, I've always got a lot of different balls in the air. I think that's probably fair to say for any position or job, right? And I've noticed, and I don't know when this began, I want to say maybe college. And I don't know why fully. That's kind of why I want to dive into this. I think it has to do with the responsibility piece and the control piece. But what happens is all these balls are in the air. I like to have, the more the better. The more I load up on myself, the better, because if I struggle or I am bored with or am not wanting to be present with one of those tasks, one of those aspects of my role, I have something else that I can escape to, whether I actually do and go work on that or in my mind. What do I mean by that? At least I know that there's this other thing I can go to. And sometimes that serves as an overwhelm. Well, I just have too many things on my plate, and so I just stop working altogether, and usually I'll convince whoever I'm working with or for that I'm just so busy on the other thing. And sometimes that's the case. I'm still very much digesting this in this most recent scenario. Maybe it will help me talk about it if I talk tangibly about what's happened the last day or so. So the last day or so, it's become apparent that it's possible that Kunst might not be able to pay me. We just don't have money coming in from our draws or our investors at this time, or leases, because we've run into this roadblock in one of our buildings. It's plumbing. We can't get past a plumbing inspection. And as it's become apparent that I might not, I was supposed to be paid last week, and it's Tuesday. I haven't gotten paid yet, and I know we didn't get to pay our construction until maybe yesterday. It might be today. I don't know. As that possibility came to my mind that I might not have Kunst as an option anymore, I felt this frantic drive to look for employment elsewhere instead of helping out at Kunst where I could, and I'm sure would be valuable and actually probably help us maybe get paid faster. I don't know. Help with accounting and all of that. I don't actually know if it would. Maybe it would help John put together a draw, which would help us get funds in for sure. But rather than doing that, I found myself escaping to LinkedIn and looking for what options are available for jobs, and felt fearful that I wasn't going to have, money to continue living on my own, and that I wouldn't have the freedom to keep pursuing my business that I've been working on. And what that did was, lately I've been finding, ever since I started to work on my business more, myself resenting Kunst and wishing I didn't have to work so that I could work on my business. And it just brought to the forefront to me, one, how grateful I am to have the flexibility and the support of Kunst, and how I've noticed I've been lately pushing my responsibilities for Kunst away in favor of working on my business. And this notion of this right here, this isn't it. I noticed myself having that with these two pursuits I've got, my business and my role at Kunst. And when I try to focus on one of them, say Kunst, for instance, in the middle of it, I grow resentful because I want to be working on my business. And then when I'm working on my business, I find, well, how am I going to support myself? I need to be working for Kunst. And so sometimes I find myself at this standstill between them, where I'm paralyzed and don't feel like I'm taking effective action anywhere. And I find this to be a little microcosm, a little peek into my world, particularly when it comes to work, in whatever I'm doing. So whether it's between tasks, I feel like overwhelmed by the number of tasks, so I just don't want to do anything. I resent it. Or it's having multiple positions at once, which has happened, which I put myself in that position multiple times. And it's interesting. I'm trying to get to the bottom of, it seems like I just don't want to be present with it. Am I making any sense? I feel like I'm talking in circles. I'm trying to work this out in my brain. I was listening to myself talk to someone the other day and I said, well, I could always go off and earn 6 figures at like a Procter and Gamble. Like that's in the background. It's like I always give myself an out. And it's like I always feel like I maybe could be doing something else. And by the way, I don't want to work for a company like that. I'd like the money that goes along with it, but the corporate structure and the lack of freedom. I mean, it'd be cool to, I guess, learn some systems and structure and how those work within big corporations like that. It'd be very gratifying to my ego. Like, hey, I really put that MBA in networking to use there, and maybe I could learn some things that would really benefit my business. But I feel like ever since I've graduated from my grad program, I've been wanting to start my own business, and I haven't felt fully present probably with any job I've ever had. Maybe at times I have, at moments, especially with Shift. I really love Shift, and that was really fulfilling. There are times in all of them that I feel present, but I think there's a lot of moments where I have this scapegoat in the back of my mind that I could be doing this or could be doing that, and that gives me comfort in knowing that it's okay for me to not fully be here and with this difficult or boring or in ways stifling or limited task that I'm doing. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm interested to watch this later and see if there's any pearls of wisdom. I hope so. Because it makes sense in my brain. I just don't know if I can put this into words. It's like a form of self-sabotage. Rather than showing up to whatever tasks I'm doing with full integrity and learning as much as I can from it and following through to completion for everything. I do that for some things, but there's several instances I can think of, particularly if something is very challenging or mundane or boring, where I have this escapism. And that's true too with the difficult parts of building my own business. I haven't found anything mundane with that yet. There's an absence of presence and an absence of gratitude in the moment, for the opportunity that's given. And I'm trying to think what need is being met by that. Maybe it'd be better if I felt into it. Harder to do that with a camera on me. One moment. Let's see. I just realized I'll probably watch this later and think, oh, it was just so obvious what I need just in watching and listening. So if it's obvious to you, or something comes up for you that might be useful for you in your life and your journey, write it down if you have a similar experience. I guess the need is being in control. I don't know, I feel about 7 or 8 when I think of myself in these situations where I'm like defiant and rebelling and looking off elsewhere, like this isn't it. I remember back in my PhD program when I was considering leaving and going in and starting my own company. So it's been in my brain since 2013, this company, some version of it. And I remember whatever situation I was in, if I was in my lab in my PhD program, if I didn't feel like I was fitting in or getting everything that everyone was talking about, like if I felt like I was behind or ignorant in something, I'd be like, well, I'm more of a health nut than a psych nut anyway. I justify it rather than digging in, leaning into it and maybe learning more or seeing. And then when I was with my fitness friends and learning something there or facing a challenge there, I'd be like, well, I'm a psych nerd more than I'm a fitness or health nerd. So it's like this need to feel good enough. This fear of failure or of not being in control. Which when I look at that, if I lean into those moments with curiosity and I could learn more. It's this need to look good to others, to save reputation, to save face. Interesting. And more fundamentally, I think and the reason I feel an ache in my heart when I talk about this is what I need, what I feel like in my heart that I need is to listen to myself and to follow my curiosities and to keep developing myself and learn to trust that I can persist through difficult and mundane tasks. And I can be counted on for that. And I can know myself to be a woman of integrity. And that feels like a deeper need. That's like a reparenting of sorts. Showing up for myself in a way I can trust. Versus replaying this drama of, I'm not someone I can be relied upon. I'm going to escape to this other thing. Further proving to myself that I'm not someone I can rely on. Further proving that whatever this is right now, this isn't it. It's somewhere else. That's what's become familiar for me the last 7 to 10 years. 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 And I'm grateful that it shows up again now. I'm grateful that this situation with Kunst has presented itself so I can watch myself try to escape to the next thing rather than trying to stay true and work with Kunst the best of my abilities. Because right now it's the best option I have in terms of flexibility and decent pay that can give me room and time to work on my business while I'm doing it, because ultimately that is what I want to be doing, is my business. There's a while where because I hadn't followed through on it, where I wasn't sure if it's what I wanted, because certainly by now, if I wanted it, I would have done it. And the more I lean into learning about myself and what I want, what I need, the more sure I am that that is what I want to be doing. It's running my business. Sharing with others how to transform their habits. Sharing these kind of thoughts. Leading people through immersive experiences. Putting together all the tools they've learned over these years about psychology and wellness. Self-love, adventure, connection, offering that up. That's what I want to be doing. That's what I'm willing to go through the challenges for. We've gone long. I don't know if any of this has made any sense. If you're still here, thank you for listening. Take care of yourself this full moon. Let yourself rest. Let yourself integrate. Thank you. I love you.